Okay, so we were discussing about the prerequisites of nuclear deterrence. There are 5 mainly prerequisites of nuclear deterrence. इसके बगैर nuclear deterrence is not workable. इसको समझ लेते हैं पहले. सबसे पहले credibility, capability. सबसे पहले capability. न्यूक्लियर वेपन होंगे तो आप डिटरेंस देंगे ना किसी की चीज की. अगर आपके पास गन नहीं है और आप जेब में हाथ डाल के कहते हैं जी कि मेरे पास गन है और मैं आपको डिटर कर रहा हूं, तो विल दैट डिटरेंस बी एक्सेप्टेबल? क्या आपका दुश्मन आपको अटैक करने से रुकेगा? नहीं रुकेगा, वो आपको चपेट मारेगा आके. इसी तरह से अ कंट्री मस्ट एक्वायर न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दे मस्ट एक्वायर न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स एंड दे डिक्लेयर्ड दैट वी हैव गॉट न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स. तो ये पहली चीज है आपकी कैपेबिलिटी. कैपेबिलिटी मस्ट बी देयर. अगर न्यूक्लियर वेपन है नहीं और आप रोला डाल के बैठे हुए जी हमारे पास न्यूक्लियर वेपन है, तो इट वुड बी कंसीडर्ड एज अ ब्लफ. दैट्स नंबर 1. सो कैपेबिलिटी इज द प्रीरिक्विजिट फॉर न्यूक्लियर डिटरेंस. नंबर 2 इज द क्रेडिबिलिटी. अच्छा, न्यूक्लियर वेपन है, भाईजान चलता भी है कि नहीं, उसको किस तरह से पता चलेगा? हाउ वुड यू कन्वे टू योर एनिमी? बाय टेस्टिंग इट. सो पाकिस्तान कैरिड आउट 6 nuclear tests in Chagi. Sometimes you also conduct cold test on supercomputers like we did in 1982 से 86 तक we did on computers, supercomputers. इसी तरह से आप उसको मिसाइल टेस्ट करते हैं. आप आए दिन कोई ना कोई टेस्ट कर रहे होते हैं. लास्ट आई थिंक few days back Pakistan tested Shaheen, I think, with a range of about 2750 kilometers. तो this is how you test. और आप उसको देखते हैं क्या वो अपने टारगेट को हिट करता है नहीं करता. तो इस चीज के जरिए पता चलता है कि योर न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स आर क्रेडिबल, दे आर वर्किंग. तीसरे नंबर पे है कम्युनिकेशन. आपके पास सब कुछ है, कैपेबिलिटी भी है, एवरीथिंग इज देयर, न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स आर आल्सो देयर, बट यू नेवर कन्वेड अ थ्रेट टू योर एनिमी. आपने कभी अपने दुश्मन को ये नहीं बताया कि मेरी रेड लाइन क्या है. जब आपने बताया ही नहीं है तो वो आपकी रेड लाइन तो क्रॉस कर देगा वो. इसलिए आप बताते हैं. यू कम्युनिकेट. एंड हाउ यू कम्युनिकेट? You communicate through army chief, you communicate sometimes through air chief, through your nuclear scientist, for example, and through your policymakers like prime minister. So communication is also must. So capability must be there. Credibility, is it working or not? Communication, you have to convey to your enemy that we have got nuclear weapons. If you try to mess with us, if you try to cross the line, we are going to use nuclear weapons against you. So communication is also very important. Fourth important element of nuclear deterrence is will. Will of the leader, will of the country. Are they really willing to do it? Are they ready to do it? What is their stature? Can they do it? So this is something which is very important. This is something which is like, for example, let me give you an example. In recent times, when a terrorist attack occurred in Pulwama, India, and India carried out Balakot surgical strike. Before Balakot surgical strike, Prime Minister of Pakistan and the army representative, ISPR, they conveyed to the Indians that if you try to attack Pakistan, if you try to carry out surgical strike in Pakistan, we will not think about it, we will reply. So this was the will of the leader, will of the commander, army ki or Pakistan ke prime minister ki. It was the will which forced Pakistan to retaliate back more aggressively. और बड़े मजे का उन्होंने जवाब दिया इंडिया को. इंडिया के 6 जगहों पे पाकिस्तान ने ना सिर्फ बम गिराए, उनके फुटबॉल ग्राउंड्स में, उनके आर्मी ब्रिगेड हेडक्वार्टर, उनका आर्म्स डिपो एंड अदर स्ट्रेटेजिक साइट्स वर अटैक्ड. We could attack these, we could take out these military installations, but we shown restraint. That was the will of Pakistan, which we conveyed to them. Number second, we also shot down two of them aircraft, Su-30 and MiGs. So this was the will of the leaders of Pakistan. So we established actually conventional deterrence against India after shooting down their 2 aircraft with our aircraft. उसमें न्यूक्लियर वेपन इस्तेमाल नहीं हुए, उसको हम कन्वेंशनल डिटरेंस कहेंगे. क्यों? बिकॉज हमने अपने रिवायती हथियारों से, अपने एयरक्राफ्ट के जरिए से उनके एयरक्राफ्ट को गिराया और उनको आगे फिर इंडिया डर गया, उसने दोबारा अटैक नहीं किया. क्यों नहीं किया? बिकॉज वी एस्टैब्लिश्ड कन्वेंशनल डिटरेंस अगेंस्ट दैट. दिस इज आल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. और न्यूक्लियर डिटरेंस क्या होती है? विद न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स. तो वो हमने अभी तक सस्टेन किया हुआ है। अभी तक इंडिया ने पाकिस्तान पे न्यूक्लियर अटैक नहीं किया, हमने भी नहीं किया, दोनों की न्यूक्लियर डिटरेंस इज वर्किंग। 5वें नंबर पे है कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सिस्टम। यू मस्ट हैव क्रेडिबल फेल सेफ कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सिस्टम। आपका कमांडर्स जो लॉन्च करने वाले लोग हैं, आपके वेपन्स जो हैं, आपका जो कंप्यूटिंग सिस्टम है, वो सब जो है वो सेव होना चाहिए, वो अंडरग्राउंड कहीं होना चाहिए। इट मस्ट बी समवेयर डीप अंडरग्राउंड जस्ट टू सिक्योर योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम एनी decapitation strike against you. So this is something which is very important. So these are the prerequisites of nuclear deterrence. If these things, if one of them is missing, I don't think so that you can have credible nuclear deterrence against your enemy. So this is something which you have to, attain. Right now, Alhamdulillah, Pakistan possess all these things. अच्छा, ये सारी चीजें हम आगे चल के एग्जाम्पल के साथ मैं को बताऊंगा भी साथ साथ। अभी तक मैं जस्ट आपको एक ओवरव्यू दे रहा हूँ इसका सारे का। अच्छा, now let's come to another important area of understanding, और वो है न्यूक्लियर साउथ एशिया। न्यूक्लियर साउथ एशिया के ऊपर भी बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, पाकिस्तान अफेयर में भी आ सकता है, करंट अफेयर पे भी आ सकता है, आपके आईआर का जो सेकंड पार्ट है उसके अंदर भी आता है। इसके ऊपर मैंने आपको दिखाया कंटेंट्स उनके, और आप इसके ऊपर जो आपका है ऐसे जो है इंग्लिश का, उसके ऊपर भी ये चीज आ सकती है। सो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। सो उसको स्टार्ट ही हमने इस तरीके से करना है कि अकॉर्डिंग टू सुन त्जू, who wrote Art of War, who was the Chinese journal strategist writer. He wrote a book, Art of War, in which he said that know yourself and know your enemy. If you know yourself and know your enemy, you can win 100 battles. So knowing is the art. So this is something you can start with this quote, and you can then discuss the nuclear doctrine of India, because India is your enemy and you have to understand, you must know your enemy and their capabilities, their skills, and then you have to analyze your own capabilities and your own weaknesses and your own strength and weaknesses. So the next part of this lecture is going to deal with the Indian nuclear doctrine, Indian nuclear policy, that what is the Indian nuclear guidelines, that how and when the Indians are going to use nuclear weapons against their enemies. So as I told you before, in South Asia, India is responsible for the nuclearization of South Asia. They brought nuclear weapons in this region in 1974. And because of that, Pakistan had to follow the suit. And after 1974, India tested their first nuclear device. Usko unhone naam diya tha PNE, Peaceful Nuclear Explosion, or they also called it, as Smiling Buddha. Just to tell the world that their nuclear, weapons or their nuclear device is just for peaceful purposes. So it's kind of funny thing. But after that, after 1974, Pakistan had to, respond back, and Pakistan also developed nuclear weapons. As I told you before, in the 80s, 82, 80, by 86, we had a nuclear, two nuclear, crude bombs were ready. But ultimately in 98 we came up with 6 nuclear tests, and we tested our nuclear device. So in 1999 India came up with draft nuclear doctrine, and ultimately in 2003 they matured their nuclear doctrine, and in 2003 they came up with the final document of their nuclear doctrine. So let's quickly analyze a few examples of their nuclear doctrine. For example, first of all, the nuclear doctrine, the first clause talks about that it is no first use. अच्छा, इसको जितने भी ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं उनको आपने बड़ी बारीकी से पढ़ना है, और उनकी लैंग्वेज को बड़ी बारीकी से पढ़ना है, बिकॉज समटाइम्स देयर लैंग्वेज इज एम्बिगुअस, और उसका जो मीनिंग होता है वो डिफरेंट होता है. सो यू हैव टू एनालाइज इट इन राइट पर्सपेक्टिव. फॉर एग्जांपल, India said that they are not going to be the first to use nuclear weapons. No first use. तो माइंड में आपके आता है यार कितना अच्छा मुल्क है बेचारा, लेकिन अगर आप उसके ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट को पढ़ेंगे कंप्लीट डिटेल से, तो यू विल कम टू नो कि ये डॉक्ट्राइन इज नॉट डिफेंसिव डॉक्ट्राइन, इट इज बेसिकली एन अग्रेसिव एंड ऑफेंसिव डॉक्ट्राइन. नो फर्स्ट यूज की हेडिंग के नीचे वो क्या लिखते हैं, कहते हैं कि न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स विल ओनली बी यूज्ड इन रिटेलिएशन अगेंस्ट अ थ्रेट of a nuclear, chemical and biological attack on Indian territory or Indian forces anywhere in the world. अब जब इसको एनालाइज करें तो यहाँ पे आप देखें रिटेलिएशन अगेंस्ट अ थ्रेट, ठीक है, अभी यूज की बात नहीं हुई, यानी कि वो थ्रेट अगर इंडिया को होगा, न्यूक्लियर का, केमिकल का या बायोलॉजिकल का, इवन केमिकल और बायोलॉजिकल अगर यूज भी हो जाते हैं तो वो न्यूक्लियर से रिटेलिएट करेगा बेसिकली इंडिया। सो ये फर्स्ट यूज तो नो फर्स्ट यूज तो ना हुआ ना, ये तो दिस इज बेसिकली फर्स्ट यूज। So their thinking is actually based on their own threat perception, which could be wrong. हो सकता है पाकिस्तान उन पे थ्रेट, पाकिस्तान उन पे अटैक ना करना चाहता हो, पाकिस्तान सिर्फ थ्रेट ही कर रहा हो, तो वो थ्रेट पे भी दे आर गोइंग टू अपने डॉक्ट्राइन के तहत दे कह रहे हैं जी कि वी विल यूज न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स। सो बेसिकली इट इज एक्चुअली अ फर्स्ट यूज ऑप्शन, जिसको वो बता रहे हैं कि जी हमारा नो फर्स्ट यूज है। So this is the first thing which is critically it is ambiguous for Pakistan, because Pakistan guess करता रहेगा कि यार ये करेंगे या नहीं करेंगे। और nuclear retaliation against biological or chemical weapons, this is also against the international norms. International जितनी भी norms हैं तो यही कहती हैं कि a nuclear weapon state should never attack a non-nuclear weapon state, क्योंकि जापान के ऊपर जो अटैक हुआ उसने दुनिया को एक लेसन दिया कि यार it is against humanity। लेकिन इंडियंस दे आर बियॉन्ड ह्यूमैनिटी। सो एलिमेंट ऑफ रेस्ट्रेंट इज एक्चुअली मिसिंग इन दिस, और वो कह रहे हैं कि जी हम ये भी करते हैं। दूसरी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो कि इंडियन न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन में है, दैट इज कॉल्ड क्रेडिबल मिनिमम डिटरेंस। अब इसके अंदर इंडिया क्या कहता है कि इंडिया इज गोइंग टू गेट मिनिमम वेपन्स टू एंश्योर क्रेडिबल डिटरेंस। अब मिनिमम, व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ मिनिमम? आप सबकी अपनी अपनी डेफिनेशन होगी मिनिमम की। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं जी साद एहसन आपको कितने करोड़ रुपए चाहिए तो आप खुश हो जाएंगे, तो आपकी मिनिमम हो सकता है आप कहें सर 5 करोड़ 10 करोड़ में भी। अगर यही बात मैं मिशाल से पूछूंगा जी मिशाल आप कितने पैसों पे खुश हो जाएंगे, वो कहेगी सर $1 बिलियन तो मिनिमम होना चाहिए मेरे पास। वी डोंट नो द मिनिमम, मिनिमम हर एक का डिफरेंट है, ठीक है। इसी तरह से इंडिया कहता है जी कि क्रेडिबल मिनिमम डेटरेंट, व्हाट इज देयर मिनिमम, वी डोंट नो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल चाइनीज हैव गॉट अबाउट 400 न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड्स, तो क्या उनका मिनिमम चाइना के 400 न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स तक है, या पाकिस्तान के 160 न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड्स है तो वो मिनिमम पाकिस्तान के 160 तक जाना चाहते हैं? वी डोंट नो, दिस इज अगेन ambiguous and it is also critical for Pakistani policy makers. We will be in guess mode. So basically India's own capabilities, India's nuclear fuel capabilities, their stockpiles, it suggests that India may acquire 300 to 400 nuclear warheads in the next decade, because they have got deals with the US, France, like UK, and then Japan, Australia, Canada. All these countries, they are leading nuclear fuel, you can say. They are part of the NSG nuclear suppliers group. So they are in deal with India to provide them with the civil nuclear fuel, and their own civil capacity, the Indian their own civil nuclear reactors, they are going to allocate those reactors for their military purposes, and for they are going to acquire more and more fuel from the other countries. So it is very difficult to analyze this particular strategy of India. Credible minimum deterrence, we don't know about their credible minimum deterrence. It is confusing. For example, if the Chinese are acquiring more and more nuclear warheads, are they going to follow the Chinese model? For example, if the Chinese have got ICBMs, India is also following the Chinese model. They are also acquiring weapons which are beyond this region. For example, India's Agni 5, which is Surya, they also named it Surya, which has a range of about more than 5,000 kilometers. So it is beyond China actually, and it covers almost all the Asia Pacific region. So what India is doing, we don't know. What is their credible minimum deterrence? Are they going to follow the Chinese? Are they going to follow Pakistan? We don't know. So this is also ambiguous strategy. Number 3, India says that the nuclear retaliation to a first strike will be massive and designed to inflict unacceptable damage. This is again ambiguous. You don't know what is their unacceptable damage. For example, are they going to take out Karachi? Are they going to take out Lahore? Are they going to take out whole Pakistan? We don't know. So this is again ambiguous. Number 4, Nuclear retaliatory attack can only be authorized by the civil political leadership. Their command and control is led by their civil leadership. और उसका civil leadership में कौन है ऊपर बैठा हुआ? Unfortunately, Narendra Singh Modi, who's a madman. ठीक है. Now Prime Minister Modi, he is the, you can say, chairman of their nuclear command authority. As you can see in this map as well, he's the person who is sitting on the top, and he's going to take the decision of nuclear launch with the support of National Security Advisor. And then they have also got, other advisors like Cabinet Committee on Security. इसके अंदर उनका Deputy Prime Minister भी है, Defense Minister is there, Foreign Minister is there, Home Minister is there, and Finance Minister is there. Why you need all these ministers? Defense Minister would advise you that what would be the military implications of using a nuclear weapon against Pakistan or any other country. Your foreign minister would let you know that how you are going to tackle it at diplomatic level with the help with other countries. Home minister would tell you if any counter strike takes place by Pakistan, how they are going to tackle situation inside India. And the finance minister would obviously he's there to advise you on the financial cost of nuclear strike. If they try to take out Karachi, for example, so Pakistan's obvious target would be Mumbai, which is their financial hub and port city. So finance minister would calculate all these calculations for them. And then you have got chairman joint of staff committee. उसके अंदर फिर उनके जितने भी army chief, naval chief और जितने भी उनके chiefs हैं, they'll be part of that. And ultimately, at the Directorate of Defense Operations, जिस तरह ये नीचे बहुत सारी है ना commands हैं, Northern Theater Command है, Western Theater Command है, Eastern Theater Command है, and Central Theater Command है. All these commands and other commands, they are going to launch nuclear weapons. Their nuclear weapons are actually stationed in all these commands. उनको यहाँ पर उन्होंने छुपा के रखा हुआ. And ultimately, whenever the decision is taken, उसके बाद इनको message convey हो जाएगा, and they are the people to execute the command by the Prime Minister and his team. So ultimately, in India, civil nuclear, you can say, civil authority is controlling nuclear weapons in India. इसको बाद में पाकिस्तान के साथ हम कंपैरिजन भी करेंगे. पाकिस्तान में भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज द चेयरमैन, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में आपको पता है फौज इज डोमिनेंट और दे आर कंट्रोलिंग थिंग्स इन पाकिस्तान इन रियल सेंस. But on books, Prime Minister of Pakistan is the dominant personality. अच्छा, fourth important or fifth important point in the Indian nuclear doctrine is that India is going to get tried forces. Tried forces क्या होती है? कि India is going to develop nuclear weapons at 3 platforms: Army, Air Force, Navy. यानी कि वो तीनों प्लेटफॉर्म के जरिए से डिलीवरी सिस्टम अपने बनाएंगे. Like for example, Air Force के जरिए से they are going to acquire aircraft which could deliver nuclear weapons. So they possess nuclear weapons, such aircraft like Su-30, Rafale भी आ गए अब उनके पास. इसके अलावा और भी उनके पास जहाज हैं which could deliver nuclear weapons. So Air Force भी हो गई. दूसरे नंबर पे उनकी मैरीटाइम जो कैपेबिलिटीज है, न्यूक्लियर सबमरीन्स है, फॉर एग्जांपल they also, Arihant is their nuclear submarine which can which is equipped with nuclear reactor and nuclear weapons as well. It can carry nuclear weapons. So at sea they have got second strike capability, and thirdly land based उनके जो missiles हैं, for example Agni series है, then Prithvi series है, then you got other series. इस सीरीज के इनके पास 5000 किलोमीटर की रेंज के न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स हैं, जो कि छोटे से लेके 150 किलोमीटर से लेके 5000 किलोमीटर की रेंज, which technically covers whole of South Asia and Asia Pacific region. So this is something India is, according to their nuclear doctrine, they have developed tried forces, Army, Air Force, Navy. They have developed nuclear capabilities at all these 3 forces. Other than that, the Indians say that they are not going to use nuclear weapon against non-nuclear weapon state. लेकिन अगर आप इनके डॉक्ट्रिन को आपने पढ़ा है अभी, आपने समझा भी है, if you analyze it in a right perspective, so इसके अंदर उन्होंने साफ लिखा हुआ है कि अगली ही जो लाइन है उसको अगर आप पढ़ें, however, in the event of a major attack against India or Indian forces anywhere by biological or chemical weapons, India will retain the option of retaliating with nuclear weapons. ऊपर कह रहे हैं कि नॉन न्यूक्लियर वेपन यूज स्टेट के खिलाफ नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन अगर अफगानिस्तान फॉर एग्जांपल इफ दे कैरी आउट बायोलॉजिकल और केमिकल अटैक अगेंस्ट इंडिया, ठीक है, तो technically they can use nuclear weapons against Afghanistan. So which is dichotomy is there in their doctrine, in their real policies. Eighth point says that the research and development will continue. Their nuclear doctrine says that the research and development would continue, which means they are going to develop more and more nuclear warheads. They are going to come up with long range, medium range, tactical nuclear weapons, and cruise missile technology. So the research and development will continue, and they are going to get nuclear weapons more and more. But this particular clause contradicts the next clause, which says that the India will work towards the disarmament. एक तरफ वो कह रहे हैं रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट विल कंटिन्यू, और अगले ही लम्हे वो कह रहे हैं कि disarmament, India would take steps to go for arms control and disarmament, for example. But if you analyze it in right perspective, तो आप देखेंगे कि India did not sign the NPT, Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, और पाकिस्तान भी उसकी वजह से साइन नहीं करता. So India did not sign it. तो एक तो इंडिया उसके खिलाफ है. दूसरे नंबर पे इंडिया did not sign CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which put ban on nuclear testing undersea, on surface, or in the space. India also did not sign FMCT, Fissile Material Cutoff Treaty, which talks about cutting the existing material, fissile material, and the future production of fissile material. So India did not sign that as well. Denial of Nuclear Weapon Free Zone, NWFZ. Pakistan has offered India, let's make South Asia a nuclear weapon free zone area. Let's abandon nuclear weapons. But India never accepted that. India has always rejected Pakistan's offer. Uske baad, we also offered India with zero missile zone. We said, okay, let's not develop new missile capability. Why? Because we are sharing border. We are sharing border, and our missiles, if they are launched in a unauthorized use ho jata hai, ya accidentally launch ho jate hain, for example. So the window of killing missile in the air is very short. Yani ki 2 to 3 minutes or 4 minutes, Pakistani missile can hit India. Indian missile can hit Pakistan. So there is a serious threat going on, and by this region is considered the most dangerous region in the world. Why? Because of the nuclear weapons and the proximate borders. Russia और अमेरिका जो थे, उनके दरमियान जो distance था, that was huge. और nuclear weapons could take around 25 to 30 minutes, and it was a huge window. उसके दरमियान वो nuclear weapons को kill कर सकते थे हवा में, अगर कोई unauthorized use हो गया, accidental launch हो गया. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है. अगर यहाँ पे गलती से launch हो गया, it's gone. So such things are very dangerous. We offered them zero missile zone, but they rejected it. Then you got Bmd Program of India. Like, for example, India is developing ballistic missile defense program. Like, they are getting S-400 long range air defense system, which may you can say Pakistani missiles, Pakistani aircraft would be under serious threat, because there might be a perception in the Indian minds that because of the S-400 or Barak-8 type of air defense systems, Pakistani missile or aircraft may not cross the border. So such thinking is is aggressive, and it may lead this region to strategic